Hey, Mike. What? Who's got next?
What's good, y'all? It's your man Hezo, and welcome back to the Blacktop, where I always got next. So as y'all see, What If Wednesdays is back once again. I did decide to continue this series. I had a couple people tell me that they do look forward to it and they do enjoy it. So shout out to y'all. I greatly appreciate it. Y'all really keep me going. So with that being said, if y'all are new to my channel, hit that subscribe button if you're looking for more consistent basketball content. This is definitely where y'all want to be. Help me grow my channel out. I greatly appreciate it. And let's get right into it. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with this series, basically what we do is talk about the biggest NBA what-if scenarios across the history of the game in terms of signings, trades, injuries, all that type of stuff that has impacted the history of the league and what could have been as opposed to what actually happened. So I have a lot of fun doing it. This is kind of one of those things that is always talked about in terms of when you're talking to a casual basketball fan or a diehard basketball fan, everybody always talks about, well, what if this, what if that, and gets their opinions and all that. So I have a lot of fun doing it. The topic I have for today is James Harden going to the Rockets from the Thunder. And there's two kind of views I have from this scenario. And the first one we're going to talk about is, do the Oklahoma City Thunder win a championship or multiple championships? And I think the answer is yes. Now, this is all my opinion, so take it for what it's worth. But I think they do win at least one championship. I'm not going to say they would have won multiple or 3 or 4, but I think 1, maybe 2 championships, I'd say probably at the most. And the reason for that, and when you look at the way the league was set up at the time, the Heat were the dominant team in the East, the Spurs were the dominant team in the West, and I think the Thunder really fit in kind of well with those two teams in terms of being able to beat either of those teams in a 7-game series. Now, obviously, we know that the Thunder lost in 2012 to LeBron and the Heat. I think they beat the Spurs that year in the Western Conference Finals. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I can't really remember. The next year, you got to remember, this team was super young when they had KD, James Harden, and Westbrook. They were all three of them in their 21, 22 years old, something like that. So they hadn't really peaked yet. They were really starting to come up and grow as superstars in the league. Now, James Harden was a sixth man, so we're going to talk about him in a second, what they could have done for his career. But in terms of KD and Russ, they were the two stars for the most part. But Russ hadn't hit his stride yet. He wasn't the Westbrook that he was when they lost to the Warriors after blowing a 3-1 lead. But KD was KD, but he still wasn't the KD he is now. He was obviously always a lethal scorer. But when you look at these three together and what they could have done if they would have stayed together, if they would have kept James Harden over Serge Ibaka, definitely think they would have won at least one championship. I mean, it's a lot of picking and choosing because you really have to look at what they could have done against the Spurs in the Heat to decide whether or not they would have won a championship. Obviously, history says it didn't go so well, but in my opinion, I think they would have won at least one. So kind of shifting to the James Harden side of it now, and in my opinion, if he doesn't get traded, well, not even really my opinion, as a fact, it kind of changes the trajectory of his career. He no longer is probably a top 7 to 8 shooting guard of all time. Some people call him top 5. I'm not going to go there because I don't think he's top 5 shooting guard of all time. Say what you want. I mean, he's still a top 7, 8 shooting guard, but if he doesn't get traded, that's probably not going to happen because he's probably going to remain a 6-man. And even if he moves eventually into that starting role with the Thunder, he's not going to take off like he did in Houston. He wasn't going to become the superstar player that he is today because he's not going to have the opportunity. With playing behind KD and Russ, he's not going to be shooting 25, 30 times a game to average 30, 35 points. So that's a huge change in James Harden's career. And when you look at it, maybe it's better for him in the long run because he wins a championship. I don't know if James Harden will ever win a championship. Now, in terms of accolades, he would have never came close to what he's accomplished in today's game. So you really can look at it from both sides and choose which is better for James Harden, winning championships or being the great individual player that he is today, MVPs and all that. And that's all great, but the ultimate goal is to win a championship. They may have done that. Obviously, it's all what if. So kind of another thing that is a big, I guess, career comparison, not comparison, but potential change is LeBron's career. And maybe even Tim Duncan's. Because if the Thunder potentially go to the finals or win a championship or two, Now maybe LeBron doesn't have 4. Now maybe Tim Duncan doesn't have 5. So that's a scenario in itself to where these two great guys, great competitors and great players may not be the champions that they are today. LeBron has 4, Tim Duncan has 5. Maybe LeBron only has 2. Maybe Tim Duncan only has 3. I don't know. There's a lot of what if scenarios that could have went into this. And in my opinion, I think that Thunder probably get 1 or 2 in the end, so it does change those guys' careers. So I'm not really going to go too much more into it. This was kind of a topic that's kind of self-explanatory and really just looked at from 2 different views in terms of championships and then James Harden's career. And as a whole, for a summary, I think they win at least 1 championship, maybe 2. And I think James Harden's career is entirely different. So take that for what it's worth, man. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you think they would have won multiple championships? Do you think they win any at all? Leave a like, and I will catch y'all next episode.